I'm Kasia. I'm 29 years old. About a month ago, I was diagnosed with COVID, but then I got hit with these very unusual symptoms, unusual for me. So because of all the issues that I was having, I reached out to Dr. Clark. He really took interest in my case because I am so young. And he sent me for a lot of blood work. I did a brain EEG yesterday to really see how my current baseline is. And he's going to start me on his neuro protocol soon. So we'll see how it works.
Your son and your boyfriend got tested on what, 8/6, roughly August the 6th. So you were doing okay, but then you started feeling kind of funny. So you on a 8/11 you tested and it was positive for COVID, right? And your symptoms initially were?
It was the classic, body aches, fever, night sweats, fatigue, a little bit of cough. Very kind of basic symptoms. And some of the dizziness developed at that time. So I actually decided to go to the ER just to make sure that I'm not, low on my oxygen. But they gave me albuterol for my esophagus, took it for about 24 hours, and that pretty much completely resolved. But the dizziness didn't.
So that started like another phase of it.
Yes.
And that phase included?
The nausea, the vertigo. That was kind of the beginning of that neuro, chaos that I was going through. Nausea resolved pretty quickly, but then I was getting hit with just these other symptoms like a delayed, vision. I wasn't able to focus my vision right away. The weird sense of touch, the weird sense of hearing things.
We're already to the 24th of August. This is when this brain fog, this nausea, and the vertigo set in. And the visual disturbance at the same time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that started probably about 2 days after the dizziness and vertigo, and then it just was getting worse and worse and worse.
So what was the visual disturbance like? What did you see?
The best way I can explain it is if I was looking at this lamp, I could see it, but then if all of a sudden I wanted to look at you, you were blurry at first. It took me a second to really get my vision focused. And then that would cause me to get more dizziness. Like when you have vertigo, you can't move your head really fast because it just causes you to have dizziness and you can't really see well. That's what I was experiencing.
Go to the brain fog.
So this is interesting because at that point, I was technically COVID-free. I was clear to go back to work. I didn't have cough or fever, but I was dealing with this insane brain fog. And what I mean by that is I couldn't remember what I did 10 minutes ago. I kept losing my phone, my keys, everything. I just could not recall where I put it last. Another issue is because I work on my computer at work a lot, just reading and really comprehending. I would get to the beginning of the paragraph and then read it all the way through, and then I couldn't remember what the beginning of it said. So then I would have to read it again and again to really be able to get the full picture.
So at the end of a day, you go home and you have mom responsibilities, right?
Yes.
What did you feel? I mean, you had to have been completely exhausted from having to function at that level all day long. What did you feel like when you got to the house?
I was exhausted. I had a raging headache. I was really afraid to drive at that time too, so I had a lot of support, from my boyfriend to take me to my kids' date.
You had a chauffeur?
I did. I didn't feel comfortable with them in the car with these symptoms that I had.
You were having increasing memory trouble. And this is like right around that August the 24th thing, the memory continued to get worse. You were saying that, you told me initially that you were having trouble remembering, did I even take a shower?
Yes, and then I would find myself taking a shower that morning, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I literally just took a shower 30 minutes ago. I just could not recall it at the time, but when I get in the shower, I'm like, I just did this. I remember now. Another thing was, let's say taking a shower. I couldn't remember, did I take a shower this morning or was that yesterday? I just couldn't differentiate the different days.
Okay, so let's go back to the visual deal that you mentioned earlier. You were talking about how there was a delay from looking here to looking there, and it took a minute for everything to begin to register.
Yeah, to clear up.
So that tells me there's like this delay of processing, but that translated also into touch, you were telling me.
Yes. So my sense of touch was different in a sense that it would also be delayed. So if I was touching something really hot or really cold, where normally I would, feel it pretty much right away, it was delayed as well. And then I would be like, oh crap, this is really hot.
And when you were talking to someone, describe that for me.
So I could hear myself when I was talking, and it seemed slow motion what I was saying. So I would constantly question myself if I'm making sense and if it's coming out correctly. So the best way I can describe it is when you're drunk but you're trying to pretend like you're sober. It's like you kind of have a grasp of what you're saying, but you're not sure how it's coming out. That's how I was feeling.
See, that to me is fascinating, because it's almost like all your processing, and not necessarily your motor function, but all your processing of the input was just slowed way down.
Yes.
And when you were speaking, it was like hearing yourself.
Or like from far away, almost like echoing.
See, nobody knows anything about this stuff. And to have a generalized cognitive change that seems to affect the sensory so much, because motor, you weren't falling, you didn't have trouble going up the stairs, you didn't have any motor deficits, you just couldn't process the input.
I was so desperate to find help, because for me, and like you said, the lifestyle that I live, being a single mom and having a full-time job and trying to keep up with everything on a daily basis, it does, I think, cause a little bit of depression at the time, because you're just like, I can't live like this. I couldn't imagine being that way for months and months and months and just waiting and hoping that it would phase away. So
what did we do?
You did so many labs on me, and you really listened to me, and then you gave me this neuro protocol that I started taking immediately. It's just wild, because I felt a difference with the first dose that I took. The first was more energy. After about 5 doses, I really started having my vision clearing up, the dizziness was go away. I actually started getting my sense of smell and taste back. And then the weird slow motion sensation that I had was going away.
Did your headache resolve?
It did while I was taking it.
Oh. So you were on it for like every other day for
20 days.
For 20 days. When you stopped or ran out, what was that like?
Initially, I thought I was getting a cold, because I started feeling really down and really tired, and I had a headache, and I had a little bit of like even body aches. I really thought I was getting a cold. I think it was because I had to stop taking it because I ran out, and then some of the symptoms started coming back, and now I'm back to having a little bit of dizziness. For about the last 2 days, I've had the dizziness again.
So we got to get you back on this.
Yes.
We did this brainwave test called the WAVi. The interesting thing about this test was that most everything was normal except processing, which is exactly what we were talking about. And it goes right exactly with what you were describing, this delay of vision, the delay of feeling something hot or cold. This is something that doesn't depend on a subjective report from you. We actually have an objective piece of data from that WAVi brain scan.
And just to jump in, that brain scan was so frustrating to me, because I was doing my absolute best, and like deep down I knew I wasn't doing as well as I should, like being 29 and being a healthy person overall. But the memory and the vision is what got me, and just being able to focus, because it was a hot mess. It was difficult. I was just so upset that it was so difficult for me to do it.
Tell me what you were feeling when you take the supplement.
So that's an interesting question, because initially I was taking it at night because it has the melatonin in it. But it actually really kind of got me energized, where I would wake up really early and just couldn't go back to sleep. So I switched to taking it in the morning. And how do I describe how it made me feel? Just focused and energized is the best way I can describe it. It kind of made me feel like my old self before COVID when I was taking it.
It's interesting to see the varying effects, these little neurochemistry tweaks that are in that supplement, how they affect different people. Did this feeling of depression, mild though it might have been, did that begin to lift after you started the supplement?
It did when I was taking it, because I think I was noticing feeling better, and I, wasn't as hard on myself, and I saw like the light at the end of the tunnel. Your psyche is so connected to your body, and if you're not feeling physically well, it's going to make you just upset and drained. And then the frustration is there too, like, oh man, I thought I was over the hump, and now, I'm scared to see what's going to happen if I don't continue taking it, because I see some symptoms coming back, and it's not something I ever want to go through again in my lifetime. It's just, to me, amazing, for one, how quickly I see the change, whether I'm taking it or I'm not taking it, and how just quickly they started resolving. It's very encouraging for somebody that, is dealing with these long haul, post-COVID symptoms, where there's really nothing right now out there for us to help us. There's just not a lot of research, not a lot of knowledge. So there's a lot of people that are dealing with similar symptoms like me.
I'm anxious to see what happens over the next 2 or 3 months as you continue to take that.
I'll tell you what's going to happen. I'm going to crash that WAVi test.
What you've told us is really fascinating, and I know lots of people are going to be real interested. Well, wow, I feel exactly like that. What can I do for that? So thanks so much for doing it.
So how are you feeling right now?
Amazing.
Good deal. So tell me about how some of those have resolved.
My dizziness, my double vision, my weird sensation that I used to have, that's resolved. I no longer get headaches. I have an easier time being able to focus and concentrate and really put in like a full day of work without having to take breaks and struggle to even try to read to comprehend what I'm reading. So I would say like 99% of my symptoms have resolved at this point. So I've been on for about 2.5 months now. The first month and a half, I would take it every other day. And then the last, almost a whole month, I've been taking it every single day. It literally like gave me my life back, because I'm almost back to normal at this point, and we're like, what, 2-3 months in, and I really didn't know how long my symptoms would have lasted otherwise, and they were absolutely debilitating to me. It just helps me. I used to get such anxiety because I knew I wasn't performing at work the way I should have been. So it just eases my mind that I can just handle my job just the way I used to. So it's been a huge relief. I feel like I can take care of my kids and enjoy it, and not feel like, oh my God, I'm struggling so hard, and I'm just getting so impatient with myself and so frustrated with myself, before, whenever I had all these symptoms.
What would you tell somebody that is suffering from long COVID?
I would say don't take no for an answer, and really believe in what you're feeling and how your symptoms are, and search for somebody that will be a resource to you and will be able to provide you a treatment. Because the Neuro Protocol has helped me, and I don't know how long I would have had those symptoms otherwise. So just don't take no for an answer, believe in what you're feeling, and just search for the right treatment for you. I mean, I knew I improved, and I knew that I feel great, but seeing it on paper is just, makes me so happy.
When you saw that, what did you feel like?
I felt like I told you guys I wasn't a dummy because you guys didn't know me at my true baseline. And I remember feeling so embarrassed after the first WAVi test, because I knew I did my best, but I just, for one, I couldn't see a lot of the testing that we were doing, and the auditory, delay, it was just, I couldn't do any better than what I did. And I knew I did really bad, but I just couldn't have done any better. Thank you guys for taking care of me and really like digging deep with what was going on, because just nobody else would. And I'm so happy to do this because I know there's so many people that are going through what I was going through, and it's such a helpless feeling.
Yeah.
No.
Well, thank you so much, Kasia.
Thank you.